Hello, my name is Colleen McIntosh of Angel Divinations Inc. I do psychic readings, Reiki, and hypnosis. It's not a question of discovering if you're psychic, it's a question of discovering that other people aren't. You don't really think much of it if it's something that you've always just done and known. It's only when people start to talk about it and you realize that they don't do the same things that you realize that perhaps you have some gifts that others don't. I prefer them. I find they help focus clients' energies, and because they're more focused, I can get a better reading on them, and that's why I use them. The strict meanings of the cards are not necessarily what I will say in the reading at all. I tailor what comes up to match what I'm already getting, and the combination gives me my readings and hopefully a fairly accurate overall view of what's going on. Reiki is a very ancient form of healing. It's basically channeling energy to someone. So the energy is not coming from me, it's just through me, directed to another person. And Reiki will be whatever that person needs. So if they're having a physical issue, pain, for example, the Reiki will work on the pain wherever that pain is. If they're having issues psychologically or emotionally, it will work on that. If they are having issues with respect to anxieties or depression, it will work on that. If they want to work on balancing their chakras, it will work on that. And it will do all of that simultaneously. I don't actually have to specifically direct it. All I am doing is channeling it to that person, and they get what they need. People that were having pain, chronic or acute pain, people having problems sleeping, it's very effective for insomnia. People that are having problems with depression or anxiety disorders, people that are struggling to feel a sense of peace that they find is eluding them in their normal lives. And it just helps bring them to a more meditative state, I think, and that helps them relax more. Oh, that's such a debate for a lot of people. There's a lot of myths about hypnosis, that it's, mind control and the person's going to have you doing strange and bizarre things. And you can do strange and bizarre things if that's what you want to do. But in hypnosis, you could think of it as an iceberg. You know how the part of the iceberg that you see, that top 10%, that's your conscious mind. The real meat of that iceberg is in fact below the surface. A good 90% of it you don't really see. That's your subconscious. When you're doing hypnosis, you're bypassing the conscious mind, which interferes, and you're speaking directly to the subconscious mind, which will accept any suggestions that are for their highest good. It will reject any suggestions that go against their moral or ethical codes. So if you go to a stage hypnosis and you see people and they're clucking like chickens and they think they're playing the banjo and whatever, that's because they're willing to do that. They are willing to do that. They think it's fun and they go with that and they go right into it. If, on the other hand, you directed somebody to do something that was completely unacceptable to them, for example, you want them to start stripping right there, they're not going to do it. They're going to wake up. Just like you and I would wake up. If you were kind of daydreaming and somebody said to you, hey, there's three-headed creature walking down the street, and you'd go, what? You'd pay attention. If you were driving, you would have an episode of hypnosis, in fact, when you were driving and you don't realize how you got from A to B. So you get home and you realize, oh my God, I didn't remember the trip. How did I get here? But if on that journey you had suddenly had a child run out in front of you, your conscious mind would have taken over and you would have immediately applied your brakes or swerved or whatever it was that you thought you should have done at that time, right, to avoid danger. So that's a form of waking hypnosis, and a lot of people have that, or people in school have a habit of doing that while the teacher is droning on in the background and they're actually kind of looking out the window going, oh, I'd rather be anywhere but here. And so it's not that you're not listening in a way, but you're really not. But if the teacher suddenly said, hey, and asked you a question, you'd actually know that they had just spoken to you and you would respond. So those are all forms of hypnosis. It is very good for giving positive reinforcements and positive suggestions and affirmations to people that are having issues or problems in a certain area. For example, if you had a phobia, it could be about snakes, it could be about flying, and if your job requires flying a lot, that's a big issue. So a desensitization program through hypnosis would be very effective for decreasing those fears. If you needed to do a lot of public speaking and you had issues about speaking publicly, then you could use hypnosis for that. Some people have issues with confidence and lack thereof, and you can help gain confidence through that. Some people do use it for past lives, traveling through those kind of scenarios. Some people are interested in expanding their psychic abilities and use it for that. So it has a broad range of applications. It's whatever the client really wants. A script can be designed specifically to address whatever the need is that the client is looking for. Shockingly, you might think that I get a lot of people who go, yeah, right. But actually, that's not what happens. What I get a lot of is, oh, what's going to happen Friday night? Or what lottery ticket should I buy? Or quick, what am I thinking right now this second? People seem to think that it's a really good idea to suddenly expect me to pass exams on that spot at that given time. But a lot of times people either just want that little test or they want to know something, or immediately they're hoping that I'm going to be able to give them their life story or their true purpose for being here in 10 seconds or less. It's the typical response, I'd say. I guess I have a lot of different thoughts about that. One of the thoughts I have is you have to have confidence. You must practice. You must work at it. It's a muscle, just like as if you went to the gym and you wanted to have some nice guns. You've got to go and you've got to do your bicep curls, right? I mean, it's the same thing. You have to start using your intuition. You have to start trusting it. You have to empower it. You have to honor it by acting upon whatever you're getting. And that means you have to put yourself out there sometimes. It means you're going to say something without knowing whether or not it's going to be valid, which potentially leads you to ridicule, or people just look at you like you're nuts or you're completely wrong. And you have to be able to deal with that. If that's what comes up, that's what comes up, right? You need to be able to be still. You have to be able to take in what comes without censoring it and without necessarily even understanding what it is. And I think the true role is you give it back, trusting that whoever it is for is going to understand that message and it will mean something to them. Whether or not it means something to me is really rather immaterial, because I don't need to understand it. It's not really for me. So a lot of times I'll get something and I'm like, I don't get it. But I will say it and that person will go, oh, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking, or that's exactly what I wanted to know. But it didn't make any sense to me personally, and you have to trust that that's okay. What you're getting sometimes just seems random and bizarre. It's only random and bizarre to you because it really wasn't meant for you. So it's a real test in some ways of your courage, because you have to be strong enough to take those kind of chances. Because if you could imagine, if your job is all the time you're being you're in a test situation all the time. So everything you do is being measured and debated and watched. And then if you've said it's going to be 2 weeks, then people are like, what? 2 weeks, it should be now. And so everything you're doing is really taken at such a serious level that you have to be careful of what you're imparting. You have to be, I think, mindful of the tone, the message itself, the actual words that you're using, and your intent. And what is that? And hopefully it's a pure intent, or it's an ethical intent, because if your intent is to take advantage or to enslave, is the only word I can come up with, it is possible to manipulate the situation for a financial goal. Obviously, that would be the the reader's goal, not the client's goal. And you have to be careful of that. You don't want people dependent upon you for every decision in their life. That's not empowering them. Instead, you want to be empowering them to move forward. If there are difficult scenarios coming up, you want them to be mindful of that, prepared for it, and to know and see that there's a light beyond that difficult situation and that they can get past it and, in fact, be all the stronger for it. And that's what I try very hard to be mindful of and very cognizant of when I'm speaking to them and saying, okay, this isn't going to be, this part isn't going to be great, but you'll get past this, you'll be stronger, you'll be better, and you'll be able to look at back and go, this was actually a defining point in my life, and it gave me the skills I needed to move forward into a path that I really did want, that I might not have had the courage to go to prior to that point.